working with agencies, and I do trainings, I do clinics, and one of the things I still get to do is hang around with motor officers at these big competitions like you see here. This is a little mini version of a motor competition. And if any of you have retired, whatever your job was, there's a saying in law enforcement, I don't miss the circus, I just miss all the clowns. So I still get to see the clowns, which is really cool because they're all my motor buddies when I travel around the country. And so I'll do these big national motor competitions. There's anywhere from 100 to 200 motor officers from around the country, really, really good riders. And the reason these exist is so it enables motor officers to create sort of a heightened stress environment without really having to suffer severe consequences should they get things wrong. Because being out here riding your motorcycle, first of all, you're around peers. Everybody, you know, let's just take a look at the group we have around us right now. All of you are here for motorcycles. That means all of you are accomplished motorcycle riders. So for me to be riding in front of you to do a motorcycle demo can be very intimidating, right? That alone is going to ratchet this up and make it a little more stressful. Then we're going to rip through a nice tight course. That's going to make it more stressful. Then we're going to put a stopwatch against it. That's going to make it more stressful. Actually, now that I talked about this, I don't even think I want to do it anymore. It just doesn't sound fun. But you know what? We're going to keep going. We're going to push through it. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to walk you through this competition. We're going to do a few things. The first thing I want to do is walk you through a couple key things that as motor officers we do that's a little bit different than how we approach this motorcycle as a civilian. So this is a pretty big girl, and I need to go in tight, confined spaces. In other words, I need to go slow. So tight environments and slow speed, I lose that inertia, I lose all that stability. That can be very daunting, and all of us know what that's like. So what we learn, the first thing you go to motor school is you learn this friction zone. In other words, the clutch is not all the way out, and it's not all the way in, which is typically how we use it right now, right? You want to go up to a stoplight, you pull the clutch in, you stop, then you take off. Clutch is all the way out. What we do is we live in this gray zone, this friction zone, this cherry patch, and it's called 40 other things. But it allows me to get some power. So if you listen to my motor, it's humming along. I have some power, but I don't have momentum, right? So that's the key with this friction zone is I want power. In other words, all of us have ridden our bike where we try to go slow, so we just completely take off throttle, and now the bike's chugging along like this, and you get that really unsteady, uncomfortable, like, oh, I don't like this. This bike says it's going to stall. I don't like that. Or, so what do we do to fix that? We give it throttle. But now, I'm going really fast, and these are tight environments. This is too fast. I need to control the bike. Nice and slow and controlled. So now that's that friction zone. So you hear my motor, you're going to hear this nice smooth hum where I have power, but I don't have momentum. People will tell you, the throttle's what makes your bike go. Kind of obvious, right? No, the throttle is not what makes your bike go. The throttle is what builds power. Not everything go anywhere. It's the clutch that takes that power and moves me down the road. So we become masters at manipulating the clutch in a way to take that power from the motor and put it in the driveline as much as we need for whatever we're doing. So that's first thing. The second thing that we do that's a little bit different is that we use our upper bodies. We counterbalance. Because again, as we know, we're going nice and slow and we want to be in a tight environment. So what do we have to do? The bike has to lean over. Well, tell me if this looks familiar. It does to me, because I've been there many times before. Oh, this thing gets heavy because I'm going slow and it wants to fall over. I gotta turn. Well, so what do I do to fix this? Well, I can give it gas or I can push my foot around. This isn't fun, especially if I have a passenger. So they're not going to want to ride on the back after they see a couple of these in a gas station parking lot. So we counterbalance. In other words, gravity wants to take hold of this bike, but I'm going to move my body equal and opposite. I'm going to move away from the drop of that bike. That's going to allow it to fall over nice and slow and controlled, but I'm also going to get a greater lean angle. And the further this bike leans over, the tighter a radius it's going to turn. So if you watch my upper body, the motorcycle's falling over. Here it goes. But I'm moving my body away from the drop. So I can get a nice controlled drop, but it's nice and smooth and balanced. That's what we're trying to accomplish by counterbalancing. My weight is moving away from the drop of the bike. So it's a big benefit. Now the third thing that we do is the way that we use our head and eyes. So right now, if you look at inside my helmet, the first thing you're automatically going to think is, man, this guy's got to be way younger than he really is. He looks amazing. But that's not what we're here to focus on, not really. Right now, when you ride your motorcycle, you're going to look approximately 45, straight ahead and right around here is our field of view. This is my range of motion in my head and eyes typically. I can still see about a 90 if I'm about here. And this is what we're comfortable doing. But when you go to motor school, what do we say? We go where we look, right? So I'm facing this way, but I'm going to turn this really tight environment, full lock, leaned over. I want to go that way. So if we go where we look, although I'm pointed this way, I want to look over there. And it's really tricky to get your mind wrapped around that idea. If we all went to a motor school tomorrow and we listened to an instructor, that would be the one thing you'd hear all day long. Get your head around, get your head around. And they'd be yelling at the student, and because they're looking about where we normally look on the street. And that does not support turning a tight radius. So pay attention to my head and eyes right now. And watch my head, how much I'm turning to get this bike turned around. I'm really turning. I can see the back of the bike. So that's a biggie, and I'll tell you, it takes a while to trust that everything that's happening in front of me is going to keep happening, even though my attention is back there. It's really weird, but it absolutely supports turning a tight radius. This is typically Motor School 101, which is what you'll see day 2. They're looking right about here, and then they don't make the radius. And then they get yelled at and they get uncomfortable. So, those are the 3 primary things. And I'm going to do a sighting lap through this course, and I want you to pay attention to those 3 things I talked about. I want you to listen to that motor. I want you to see my head turn. Notice how much younger I actually look. And then the counterbalance component. So we're going to go up here and do that right now. Let's get on course. If you wonder, how do I know where I'm going? Obviously, I've ridden this a few times, but when you first do a rodeo, and I've done a few hundred of these over the years around the country, they can be very difficult to remember path of travel. A key piece for me when I go to these events, as you can imagine, hundreds of your peers, very good riders from all over the country, this big sea of cones. This is probably 10% of some of the biggies as far as how many cones are here and how much space we're using. You want to learn path of travel, so I want to find somebody to put this course together that they can walk me through, and I'll get out my camera, and I want to learn where I'm going far before I will ever get on here and ride it. Because in the same way, if I said, hey, go to Home Depot, don't worry about where Home Depot is, just get on the road and start driving and find it, you'd be all over the place. We'd probably never find it. So if I just jumped out here and tried to figure it out, I'd drop the bike a lot, I'd run into stuff, and I would start messing with my brain thinking, man, I don't know what I'm doing. What am I even doing here? I don't want to do that. So I want to take care that I walk into this gunfight instead of run. So this is path of travel. So follow me here. Remember those 3 things I talked about. And also, I want you to, just one other little subtle piece. If you notice my head placement as I go through here, it's pretty level. My horizon line is nice and level. And from a tactical standpoint, as a police officer, but also from a line of sight and cones, it's very useful. I'm not leaned over here where I'm getting kind of a weird, distorted view of what's going on in front of me. So I had somebody laugh one time. They're like, you could put a beer on your head that wouldn't spill. I don't know if that was a compliment or not, but point taken. So here, and in areas where it's straight, like here, I want to let the clutch out because I want this bike to go. But anytime I start dropping into a turn, I want to use that friction zone. And I want to stop briefly in this section really quick. You can see that there's a defined row of cones on the inside of me, a defined row of cones on the outside of me. These are really tricky spots. They're simple but not easy. And the challenge here is, as I carry more speed, the bike is going to lean over more. As it leans over more, it creates a wider footprint. Odds of me hitting cones get greater and greater and greater. So I want to start pushing the bike out a little. However, If you've done these before, you know, if this front tire touches the base of any of these cones, I'm gonna crash. The front end just goes away. Imagine if we were in your driveway and I told you to make a U-turn, but if you went a little wide, there was a bunch of records laying on your driveway. Could you imagine as soon as that front tire touched the record, it would just skid out from under you? Well, these cone bases do the same thing. So one of the techniques I'll use if it's narrow is I want to try to keep the bike straight up and down as much as I can. So for example, take a look at how wide the bike is right now going through. Plenty of room, plenty of room. But now watch. As I go through faster and I counterbalance more, the bike starts getting wider. And as it gets wider, the odds of me hitting a cone on the outside are greater or hitting a cone on the inside. So now as I go through here, on this next run, I'm gonna move my body. Notice I'm counterbalancing, but watch my body position change. Now I'm on the inside, and notice the bike comes up. So if this is a really narrow chute, you might see me come through a little bit more road race style, where I'm gonna play around with how much room width do I have in a section like that, and how do I need to approach it from a body position standpoint. So just food for thought, so keep your eyes out on that. That's just something that's a tactical thought process when I'm doing these events, how much room I have and how I want to ride through it. And a lot of these, as you get proficient at these patterns, it's not a question of can I get through it. It's a question of where's the fast line. And the word fast really translates into what section of each pattern do I want to take to smoothly, seamlessly move me into the next section. That's what's going on in my head, is efficiency. Efficiency wins rodeos, not necessarily speed, throttle, go fast. That's not in my head. That's a byproduct. So at any rate, most of these are best of two runs. So this is going to be my first run. And in my first run, my goal, my little chess game, how I play these when I do these around the country, is my first run is going to be about an 80% run. It's going to be pretty fast, but it needs to be clean. I need to throw a respectable time down. My goal, if there's say 200 fast guys from around the country, I want to be in the top 5, top 3 ideally. Obviously being the fastest first would be great, but usually my 80% is not going to pull that off. But it's a respectable time, but if all is lost and I screw up on my next run, I at least threw something on the board and maybe I'll leave with some hardware. So this is going to be an 80% run right here. We'll see what happens.
Are you ready?
So ready.
Just 80%.
80%.
All right, whenever you're ready, it's on you.
Wide, wide, wide. Quick, quick, quick. Get around, push, push, push. Watch out, let's go, let's go. That's the rear. I don't want to overshoot these points. More real estate is more time, so if I can hold these pretty tight and really get that thing locked out, it'll be faster. But the pace that I'm running right now, I'm not thinking too much about what I'm doing. I mean, I'm thinking about it, but, you know, things aren't happening too fast. Move my weight to the inside a little bit. I want to swing a little deep here so I can get shallow around this cone and get a good shoot up here. Shallow in my first drop, so I'm wide to the opening.
$55.8.
All right, 55.8, 55.8. So that's great. I put a time down. I didn't run into anything brutal, but now I'm going to try and go faster. Because it turns out 55.8 puts me 4th place in the standings, and I didn't come all the way out here for 4th place. I want to win this thing. But this is going to be a gamble. I'm going to go harder, and it might not be pretty. Bad things can happen, obviously, when you stop pushing. You can get really herky-jerky, and all that's going to upset my chassis, that's going to affect my traction, and so on and so forth. And of course, if I knock stuff over, then all is lost. So this is going to be, I'm going to try and do like a 90% here. And if, by the way, if I crash my bike, just know that as a professional, I meant to do that. I'm just not going to tell you where it's going to happen, all right? That would spoil the surprise for everybody. All right.
It's on you whenever you're ready.
I love how much less chatty I get on my second one. By the way, my left foot's off the peg primarily because at lean angle, it destroys my boot. But on the right, I got to use the rear brake, so I can't take it off.
Wow. Best run yet, 53.7.
53.7.
Yes, very nice. Hey, you got to give props to the little guy right there. He came in hot, he didn't even move.
Oh, yeah?
He didn't even move.
Yeah, this little kid down here, he's got guts. So we're going to do more rides right now. The other two are all going to compete, but I need a high five from you, buddy. You helped keep me focused. Good job.
He didn't even move.
Really good job.
There was a crowd of guys over there the first run, and they all just scattered for the second run. He comes standing there like a champ.
He said, "I dare you." And I'm like, nope, I'm not going to win that one. All right, we got Brett now. He's going to go second. He's going to do best of two.
Best of two, Brett. It's going to be on you. So Brent and myself, that's Brent C. My name is Brian. We work at the U.S. Rider Academy in Greer, South Carolina. We teach down at the U.S. Rider Academy. We teach this class called the Authority Schools. And somewhat like you see here is different courses and classes. You do not have to be a law enforcement officer to take this class. It is open to civilians to take this class. You're going to learn a lot of touch work, a lot of slow speed. You can become more of an operator than you are just a rider at slow speeds. Some things I want you to look at Brent. He's got a very nice, quiet motorcycle. Not a lot of braking going on except the setup for his turns. The bike is just above idle. Controlling the speed with his head miles and where he wants to go. Quinn likes to call it textbook.
You know, you notice maybe his pace is slower, but his consistency, his applying those basic things that we talked about at the beginning are fantastic. So nice and smooth, good friction zone, good head and eyes, nice counterbalance, and the bike dances underneath him, which is really, really nice. This is something everybody can learn, and I tell you, your slow speed skills will unlock like crazy. It's huge how much nicer that is.
No, but 116.2.
116.2. All right. So, hey, quick question, Brent. What are we going to do different for you to knock 3 seconds off your run right now? What's going on? I want something in your head. 3 seconds you're going to knock off. What are you going to do?
If you say his head, that's like the size of two heads.
All right, he gets to hug his daughter when he's done, if he goes faster. Okay. All right.
You got to
Good
get
incentive.
mad.
I like that.
You got to get mad. I want you to think about it like this. So as you go around, my computer needs to be fixed because his full-time job is an IT guy. So when you get back around, just think when you leave, you got to get back to fix my computer, okay? It's an emergency. Emergency. Whenever you're ready.
No pressure.
And he's off.
Like we talked about earlier, I tell you, try to go faster and clean, faster, consistent. None of that plays well together. So, usually I tell him to focus on imagining everybody's in their underwear, but I don't know that that's going to help him today. He's definitely accelerating a little bit harder on the straights.
Oh, I didn't see that from him.
This section you're in now gets a little rough. There's a few bumps. And believe it or not, when you're starting to turn the bike over and you hit some bumps, it just really unsettles that front end and can make the front push a little bit, which is a bit disconcerting when you're trying to kind of hustle. He's talking to himself. All right, all right, all right.
There you go.
So, what was his last time? 116? 109.
right.
Wow, 7 seconds faster. All right. Well done, buddy. Well done. Okay, now we have Brian. So here's a couple things about Brian. He's a Capricorn, but that's not important right now. Brian is a current law enforcement sergeant. He's a motor sergeant. And Brian, last month, just went to a pretty big regional rodeo, and he took first place in expert BMW class. So I say all that because expect big things from Brian right now. No pressure, buddy. Okay? Just know, Brian, when you look out into the crowd, these are all accomplished motorcycle riders, and they're all judging you quietly in their minds. So, hold on. All right, on you, buddy. First gear. So Brian is an interesting kind of mix. He's a motor officer, he's been to motor school, he's an instructor, solid rider, and he's been really working on improving some of his technique and his process as the speeds pick up. Because as you guys all know, when you start trying to do things faster, the wheels can literally fall off the program. But he's been steadily improving. I've been riding with him, I've known him for a few years now, and he's been steadily improving. Did I say steadily improving? I think I did. All right. Well, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do, man. Keep going. Keep pushing. This is a great example of what can happen when you go to these things, you're trying to go hard and beat people. I think he's gonna need a redemption run. And just to be clear, when you go to a big rodeo, okay, so a minute 10 with about a minute 30 penalties. And just to be clear too, when you go to a big event, at the top tier, you got 100, 200 riders. If you knock something over, you might as well load your gear up and go home. You're not gonna win. The top level riders are not only fast, but they're consistent. And they've analyzed how much traction do I have, which dictates how much pressure I put in my tires, which dictates how hard I charge in certain sections. I mean, this kind of comes down, you know, it's a microscope, it comes down to a bit of a science. So, okay. We're gonna go, this is his redemption run. Go ahead, on you, buddy. He loves knocking that inside cone over. I think he does it just because he's a motor sergeant and he's just trying to flex his muscles. Little rear wheel chatter there, never heard anybody. Some of these rodeos, again, this particular one down this street, we're hitting about 30 miles an hour. But some of the slightly larger ones, I can be fully wrapped out in first, 50 miles an hour. And a handful in the country allow you to click second gear and you'll be doing 70, which can be really sketchy. Looking good. Brian's best time is a minute. So we'll see how we do to that. Looking good. Push, push, push. Let's go. A minute 3, that's good. That's good. A minute 3. You knocked one cone over, not a big deal. So, second piece of this, as I talked about, you go to a rodeo and you want to win the speed course. That's great. Good for you, you win the speed course. But there's a slow course, there's a barrel race event, there's a technical course, there's a lot of different components, because what you want to accomplish is not just win the speed run, but you want to win top rider award. So there's a top overall. In order to win the top overall, you have to not only enter and compete in all the different categories, but you're going to need to be at the top or right near the top in all of those in order to take home that trophy. So one of the other really separating portions of that competition is the slow ride. So right here, this is just a sort of a basic slow ride we've set up. How this works is when your front tire passes this, the clock starts. When your back tire passes that, the clock stops. And whatever your best time is, you put a foot down, you start your bike, you hit a cone, all those things kill your time. Some events they'll say you have to finish it clean in order to even record a time. But in this one, that's not the case because that'd be too much of a headache and we set the rules up, so. But a couple things I just want to mention about slow riding in general. All of us have tried to go slow, whether we're in traffic or we're waiting up for a friend or we're just playing, challenging ourselves at a stop sign or any of that stuff. A couple things that are going on in my head when I slow ride is probably the key piece is your motorcycle's center line is infinitely balanced. That bike, when it's straight up and down, it's perfectly balanced. You get on it, if you're a little off, you're upsetting that entire balance point. So my mental goal and physical challenge is to make me and the motorcycle one mass. That's what I'm trying to accomplish, be one mass. And that means not only do I sit in a position, regardless of what my hands are doing, to try and stay perfectly centered and balanced, but as I'm using the controls, the rear brake, nice and gentle, the clutch, I don't want to be hand-fisted with those things because it can upset that whole one mass idea. Now, it's easy to say and harder to do, so when you see my run here, you're going to see me, you're going to go, oh, that's not good. Oh, I didn't think he wanted to do that. And of course I didn't want to do that, but here we are. So it's sort of like taking hold of China. It's really simple, not easy. And then the last piece, if you look at your motorcycle right now, you raise up your windscreen, or there it is, the top windscreen. I like to use mine as a level of sorts, because if I move my motorcycle just a millimeter, even though I'm not looking at the top, I'm looking about 15 feet in front of me, that top of the windscreen moves just a millimeter and I can visually pick it up. And that gives me a much better reference as to what's going on with my balance point. So just a little tip, I figured that out over years of doing this, and it really seemed to help me, give me a good visual cue of kind of how my balance is going. So Brent's gonna go first, and we're gonna see where we're at. All right, on you. Now we want to roll in. He wants to try to start balancing right at this cone. So he rolled in rather than starting at that cone. Nice and smooth. I tell you, riding slow is a whole different mindset than riding fast. This is really zen, calm, good breathing. Try and quiet your brain. I'm sure it helps with you walking next to him rambling. Time. What'd you get? 27. 27, that's good, that's good. Brent, I think his last one was a 22. So we got 27. We're just doing one and dones on this one, so Brian is next. I'll get Brian's time. You ready? No cheating. All right. I think Brian's best is in the 30s. On you, buddy. All of that aggressive throttle, hard brakes, all that herky-jerky is requiring us to eat up more real estate to get reset and balanced. So it can make it a lot more challenging. He's doing a good job though. If you notice the bars going left and right, what we're really doing is we're moving the front of the bike back and forth, which kind of helps the balance point. Nice. 33.5. 33.5. Good job, buddy. Good job. There you go. All right. I gotta burn some candles and do a little bit of yoga first. I don't know, is that, oh yeah, back rub, that's gonna help. All right. See if we can, I'm gonna raise my windscreen up, because normally when I'm doing The tight, fast stuff, I want it low so I can just see direct. Same thing if I'm splitting lanes, I'm out of California. If it starts getting traffic in, I'm gonna split lanes, I lower my windscreen, I raise up my face shield, I wanna see really clearly what's going on. But again, in this case, I'm using this thing as a level of sorts. And I'm gonna try my best not to stab at the controls. Just understand, sometimes I'm a theory man. All right. Whew, I'm gonna get away from that fence. Whew. That would have been a DQ right there. I just moved my upper body more than I would have liked. Stabbing at the rear brake. I don't want that. I don't know whose idea that was. That's not great. It's my idea. See, now that cone's right in front of me, so I'm going to keep moving. I want to move away from it. If I hit it, I'm done. $148. I think that first part did me. My record right now so far at this event is I think at 220, 217. So the last thing we're going to do just for fun is we're going to do a 3-man team through this course. So another component of these rodeos is you'll get a 3-man, a 4-man team, and you'll all go through here as fast as you can. And the rule is, as you go through here, everybody has to make one lead change. So what that would look like is, for example, this is the path of travel right here. If I was in the lead, instead of going through here, which is how the course goes, I'd stay in here, do one more loop, and then continue on the course. And then I would be in last. I would be third in our section from the lead. So we all have to do one lead change, and the goal being go as quickly through here as you can. And we're going to start that here now. So a big part of doing this well is staying nice and tight and good communication. Usually it's just a bunch of guys yelling at each other, but I guess that's communication. And it's important for the person in the back to really stay up nice and tight so I don't block the lead rider. So Brian's just done 2 circles, so now he's in last. Brent's in the front row. So Brent's our leader now. Now he's calling out lead change, so he's going to stay in. Now I'm the lead rider. It feels great to be out there. Fresh air, no roost. Now, the tricky part is if I get ahead of them, they're going to get in my way on some of these tighter sections. So we really need to try to stay tight. So I'm going to stay in this one, and this will be my lead change portion right here. So now we're back to our original order. I would demonstrate how to hold up the lead guy, but I'm not going to do that since Brian's riding with one hand on the bars. But it's very important, like right here, I need to get up and out of his way. And as you can imagine, normally this is done with a 4-man group. So that fourth rider really needs to squeeze up there. And that's typically where these things fall apart, these trains. It's where the lead rider can't slow up enough or the fourth rider can't speed up enough. And then that's it, the clock will stop right here, so. Oh, Brian's saying something. I wouldn't normally stop and listen, but he is a sergeant, so I guess I will. Speed? What about it? You want to go fast? All the three of us see how fast we can go? That could be a bad idea. So we're going to try to go fast now? All right. I guess, just the two of us? You want to do a two-man team for speed? Two-man team, me and you, one lead change. We each have to do one lead change. All right, we're going to go. All right, go. We're going to go for time, or just speed. You already knocked that inside cone down. There it is again. You love that cone. So I got to be careful not to get you too far ahead of him, or him get too far behind. I'm confident Brian can keep up. So I'll do my lead change here. That's the first lead change. And now we're done with both, aren't we?
Yep.
Yeah, we are. All right, let's go. Start pushing. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Go, 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 go. All right. Wow. We killed a lot of cones on that, but that's okay. Whoa, what happened there? Was that the brakes? I don't know, that was weird. I tried to put on the brakes and suddenly they... Let's see if I can get a better one. That one felt a little sloppy. Oh. Maybe a little slow here. All right, everybody. So that's our police motor demo. And if you have any questions, we'll be over here at this tent. And feel free to come on over and say hello. And we'll answer any questions you have. And then sign up for the BMW Performance Center for the Authority Academy is down this way over here.